Hi everyone, welcome back on my channel. And if you're new, hi. I'm Natalie and I hope you will enjoy this little community. Today I will review my Midori notebook. I want to point out that I bought it from Aliexpress. In fact, as you will see, it does not have the "this notebook belongs to" page as a first page, but it dives right into it. But other than that, it has the same characteristics. First of all, this notebook does not have a cover. It has this hard ivory texture cardstock. I find it perfect if you want to personalize the cover, or if you are a minimalist and you just want to leave it as it is. Inside, I went for a grid design. They offer blank, lined or grid paper. The squares are 5 mm, just like your dotted journal. The color of the grid is quite soft, so it would be harsh on your eyes and it won't interfere with your spreads. This notebook, by the way, it's an A5 and it has 176 pages. Thanks to the stitch binding, the journal lays perfectly flat. Now, let's see it in details. One of the most fascinating things about this journal is the spine. It is completely exposed. It's made of this, they call it cheesecloth material, that normally it's hidden. Another aspect of this journal that drew my attention was the boxed pages. As you can see, the grid stops right before the edge of the paper. I find it to be unique and it gives a more put together feeling, or at least it does for me. The paper is smooth, but we will talk about it in a moment. Before, I wanted to show you a little comparison between my actual journal, the Tsuki bullet journal, for which, by the way, I made a review, and I will leave the link of the video in the card up here if you want to see it. You can definitely notice the difference between the color of the paper. The Midori has a beautiful light cream color, while the Tsuki bullet journal, well, has bright white pages. And lastly, the Midori has squared angles, and for me it's really refreshing, to be honest. I was getting kind of bored with your usual bullet journal rounded corners. Now it's time for the fun part of the review. The swatches and actual test of the paper. I will start with testing all of my black pens. Well, in reality, I don't own lots of them, or at least not the most used one, since I usually use them just to fill the spreads and not to decorate them. I'm not particularly picky, so I just use whatever I have around. I'm going to test fine liners, gel pens, waterproof ink pens and brush pens. This is something that I have immediately noticed as soon as I started to write on it. The paper is so smooth that writing on it is quite a wonderful experience. The pens slide on the paper so easily. And as you probably are thinking right now, I was afraid that the ink would have taken lots of time to dry, causing, for example, smudges. But nope, as you can see, even though my hand was sliding over the text, there was no mess. Last but not least, I'm trying the black brush pen, and here I thought I was in Japan practicing lettering. Now it's time for the first big reveal. Let's see how the paper handled the different types of ink. Pretty well in my opinion. There is no bleed through at all. and you can slightly see a little bit of ghosting. But really, I don't find it to be big of a deal. It won't interfere with the writing and decorations of the pages behind. And so far, I'm quite impressed. Now, it's time to swatch some brush pens and markers. At this point, I was positively impressed by the rendition of the paper. But one thing is a black pen, and another it's a marker. And this is the reason why. The Midori paper has a weight of 100 GSM. If you don't know, the higher the GSM, the thicker the paper is. And the thicker the paper is, the better it will handle the marker, avoiding, for example, ghosting or bleed-through. To help you understand what 100 GSM is, let's compare some of the most well-known bullet journals. The famous Lecturum, I'm sure this is not the right pronunciation, has a paper of 90 GSM. The Moleskine, my first Bujo, has a paper of 70 GSM, and in fact I find it to be too thin for me. Now, the Tsuki bullet journal that I have been using for the past 5 months, the one that I show you at the start of this review, has a paper of 160 GSM. It's super thick, and the same goes for the Archer and Olive. So, 100 GSM, it's right in the middle. I didn't really know exactly what to expect, and in fact, I've literally tried every brand of brush pens and markers that I own. I started with fine liners. I then went on to use brush pens with Bristol brush. Those are the brush pens that looks exactly like your classic brush that you use, for example, for painting or watercolors. Then it was time for highlighters, and I just own 2 brands. And finally, it was time for the brush pens. And don't worry, your tumbos will arrive soon. I concluded with my loved Crayola. And then I even decided to test my alcohol-based brush pen. Here I was sure there was going to be a fail. Yes, this is the actual alcohol brush pen. Let's take a look at the final result. And let's pause before the reveal. What do you think the page will look like? Let me know in the comment down below. And ta-da! Let's say I was pretty negative and this journal proved me wrong. Just like the first swatches, there is a slight ghosting. A few of the brush pen were more visible than the others. But flipping the page, I noticed that they were the darkest colors, the midliner and the Lyra Aqua Brush Duo. I was amazed by the alcohol marker. Yes, it is a light color, but if you have used them, you will know how strong the ink is. So, the Midori notebook is Blossom Bujo approved. I won't use my usual style with this journal, with lots of doodles and shading. The paper won't handle well repeatedly brush strokes, but I will talk about this in another video, where we will be setting the cover page and the first page together. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope this review helped you deciding whether or not you want to purchase it or not. Subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and yeah, thank you so much for being here with me, and see you next time. Bye bye!